At first I thought, oh God, there's no way some fan went out and did this. And I'm looking it up and I'm going, well, considering everything I'm seeing, I might assume that somebody paid the $150, $200 or whatever to get this up and like take a picture, put it on X, correct. And now you got stories everywhere. Fans are buying billboards in Times Square. It's probably the most lucrative $150 marketing spend I've ever heard of. We've got Variety magazine articles, THR and Deadline talking about the plane that flew over Disney, and now the billboard. Renegade Online. And I want to make this very, very clear. I have cited Daniel Richtman before, several times on this show, Daniel RPK. He's been a pretty reliable source of scoops for stuff, like Marvel and Star Wars and stuff at Disney. Politically, probably there's very little he and I would agree on, as you would expect from most of these Hollywood types, and we've stated that before. But, again, not trying to pick on him here, but I guess the jadedness of some of these folks out there talking about the story, not just that it happened, but how upset they are. And again, there's this interference tactic that has been now exploding throughout the week, not just with this, but with other things like, oh, there were other movies. Oh, there was this. This whole notion that suddenly everybody should apologize to Kathleen Kennedy is hilarious. Because according to all of these reports, basically, Kennedy had all these great ideas, wanted to do all this, and basically every bad idea that we've seen that we hate about Disney Star Wars was not Kennedy's idea, and that it was Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, her bosses. I'm like, are you all serious? Give me a break. Give me a break. And I feel like there's so much being run out there right now, this media campaign, basically, I feel like, to just go out and put this stuff out there, and I think a lot of it's untrue, personally, because of things we've observed for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years now with Lucasfilm, that this is an attempt to basically salvage what's left of her legacy if and when she retires next year, when Bob Iger retires. He's due to retire by the end of 2026 with a named successor. It's usually very common, as we've said in the past. You're going to see a lot of these other people at Disney, C-suite, studio people that usually, retire around the same time. The first time Iger retired, Alan Horn, a huge name, retired from chairman of Disney Studios by that point. But to this point, here we go. Daniel Richtman, he says, okay, this is insane. So Lucasfilm had everything planned out, a complete script everyone liked, staffing, budget all ready to go. I don't think they had all that stuff, but okay, we'll get there. And Iger still didn't give him a green light. What? Not to mention it's such a waste of money. This could have easily been a hit. Love or hate the sequels, every one of them made huge money. And people loved Ben Solo. Did they? Even just the announcement would have gotten people hyped. Oh, Ben Solo's coming back. How's it even possible? I have to see this, something like that. Passing on it is crazy. Now, y'all know me. I couldn't let this one go. Could not let this one go. So here is the simple answer for everybody to consider out there that actually believes that this what he's saying here is correct. Okay, if they didn't greenlight it, then what money was wasted? Now, it was after I posted this that I found out that, okay, allegedly, Lucasfilm wrote a check for, supposedly, $3 million for the finished script to buy it, okay, to get the script greenlit. So, okay, $3 million. Basically, 1/2 of 1% of what they spent on The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker each is what they spent to buy the script. So if the worst thing that happened here is they wasted 1/2 of 1% of the last Star Wars movie they made that they lost money on, then that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, okay? In fact, it's a much better use of their money than the last one.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Number 2, if the sequels all made a ton of money, which is what Daniel RPK alleged here, then why'd they stop making them? Why did the third-party licensing revenues, Hasbro, anyone, shrink radically between 2015 and 2020 and beyond as the films progressed?
Because of Nerdrotic.
Oh, that's it. It was Gary's fault. I forgot.
If I remember right,
he's just sending over so much toxicity. Disney, which has never been all that interested in.
Ron's right.
Yeah.
Said, forget it. This is just not worth it.
That must have been
so
it.
simple.
It was that, or was that guy from Hasbro who said we have a whole warehouse full of figures that aren't in a movie, so f them.
Must have been.
Pretty much what they said. No, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
There was like this big hullabaloo about the rise of Palpatine and a bunch of characters that were in the movie originally. They reshot the movie so many times.
Matt Smith allegedly,
or Mattel or whoever it was. I think it was Hasbro. I don't remember.
It's Hasbro. Hasbro.
Yeah, they threw up their hands and they're like, look, we got a whole warehouse full of toys we can't sell because they're not in the movie.
Right.
So this was The Rise of Palpatine was the first Star Wars movie in the history of Star Wars not to have a 3 3/4 inch figure line to go with it.
And for reasons that we now know why, because of the mess they made. Number 4, my question in response to the assertions made in the previous post. Why did Disney's own Securities and Exchange Commission Form 10Qs and 10Ks, the quarterlies and annual reports that Disney files? And I would add to this, I believe, on more than one occasion, bragged exclusively. They were actually surprised. Y'all watched me cover this earnings call live a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago now, when this came up. They bragged about the overperformance of classic. They specifically designated classic Star Wars in the report to delineate from the Disney sequel trilogy Star Wars stuff or the Disney branded Star Wars stuff. Classic Star Wars as in all the stuff that was already there before we made the first movie in 2015. Classic Lucas Star Wars. Okay, that was number 4. Number 5, why did Disney's financial filings for their film production companies in the UK show $2 billion in expenses collectively to make 5 films before an additional roughly $1 billion in marketing collectively that caused the 5 films to barely break even at the box office after the audiences collapsed from 1 to 5? And I'm including, of course, Rogue One and Solo in this. Why did
the original spending? Yeah.
Why did $500 million, some people say perhaps more, why did $500 million Disney Star Wars themed hotel, I might add, allegedly in the most popular theme park on Earth, go bankrupt in less than a year? That starred the very character they're saying would have been a hit, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, with Rey. How come that went bankrupt? I mean, straight up bankrupt, not even a year, right? Name another Disney hotel in history that happened to. Go ahead, I'll wait.
It was such a bad idea, so poorly executed that they knew there was nothing they could do. There was they at least didn't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. They said,
right,
cut and run. It's mind-boggling. I mean, that's for guys like you and me, even for Tom, that's a lot of money.
I mean, at that point, look, the sunk cost fallacy, sometimes you're teetering on the edge, right? If we've already put $50 million into this. Do we put another 50 and finish this off, or do we cut our losses and run? You can have that debate there. At this point, and again, this is the whole notion behind this, and it gets even weirder, Ron. I don't know if you've seen some of the other stuff they've done. The whole point is, okay, fine, you went out and dropped $3 million of Lucasfilm money to secure this script, right? Well, we're not going to greenlight anything further because beyond that, it's going to come out of Disney's lines of credit. We're not going to go tap in another $300 million on Barclays Bank or HSBC over there in the UK because that's where they film all these. So they go borrow from lenders overseas for the currency exchange to keep everything consistent. Covered that a million times. And they're not tapping into it. No, we just had 5 films with 3 films with those characters in it, 3 of the 5. And they did not turn out the way that we had hoped. Why would we right now immediately turn around and decide to go, hey, sure, oh, you have a script? Everything's ready to go? Well, that means we have to give you the money, right? No, where did this start? And the argument out there today from the shills, and again, there's a ton of bot accounts out there doing this. It's hilarious. You've got people out there now like, and here's some more of the weird stuff. Okay, you ready for this, Ron? Somebody bought a billboard in Times Square this week. Now, I did a little digging because I'm like, okay, first somebody rented a plane to fly a sign, one of those banners behind the plane, over Lucasfilm headquarters, or maybe it was Disney in Burbank.
Are you saying that Snyder was really the blueprint?
Yeah, we got Snyder Bros now. They're Raylo Bros. So somebody flew a plane that said hashtag, save the Ben Solo movie or some damn thing, the hunt for Ben Solo, flying it over Disney. Somebody went and bought a billboard spot in Times Square in Manhattan.
I hope I hope where you're going with this, Valiant, is that you priced all this out.
I did. The planes can be a little oddball to figure out, but usually, you might spend $1,000 on something like that. It's hard to tell. I don't know exactly which billboard this is, but the fact is every clip I've seen has lasted 14 seconds. What I found out is that you can buy some of the smaller billboards in the Times Square section. $150 a day gets you a 15-second ad run once per hour. So you're in there with three other ads per minute times 60 minutes. So you're buried in there. This ad popped up on a billboard because, I've not seen a clip that lasted longer than 14 seconds. So I'm assuming.
But that little only $150?
I was surprised.
So but then you take this picture and it looks like you're a big spender, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. So $150 is what I found. I mean, now look, some of the billboards in Times Square that, hey, we want to lease this for a whole year. You're talking $10 to $50 million dollars or something.
This is further into toward the middle of 42nd Street.
I figured you'd know where this was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a smaller billboard. It's not you're not going to see it from up Broadway or from up 7th Avenue. But it makes a great picture because it does have that Times Square kind of, feel to it. And for a few $100, you have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, and that's basically what it boils down to. Because at first I thought, oh, God, there's no way some fan went out and did this. And I'm looking it up and I'm going, well, considering everything I'm seeing, I might assume that somebody paid the $150, $200 or whatever to get this up. And take a picture, put it on X, correct. And now you got stories everywhere. Fans are buying billboards in Times Square. It's probably the most lucrative $150 marketing spend I've ever heard of, considering we've got Variety magazine articles, THR and Deadline talking about the plane that flew over Disney, and now the billboard. I mean, they're picking up and they're running with it because, and again, a lot of this stuff is botted, and you can tell the bots because they'll change their profile picture and their name when the Acolyte's out. You'll have 30 days, 2,000 posts of nothing but Acolyte. Then they switch over to Skeleton Crew. Then they switch over to Ben Solo now. So point is that, look, here it is here. You need a little bit better picture of it. Star Wars fan paid for a billboard in Times Square pushing for the release of The Hunt for Ben Solo. And I'm like, oh, okay. Fun, I guess. But the point is that this does not seem to be moving the needle here. And I wanted to try to find one other. Where's the piece of the plane? It's further back, I believe. Yeah, here's where the news came from. It was originally from THR, just for everybody's edification. I didn't make the number up. From the Hollywood Reporter, Lucasfilm reportedly spent $3 million on the completed script. And I can't remember the name of the writer. But it involved Adam Driver, of course, the actor here who plays Ben Solo.
Yeah, no, look, at the end of the day, could it have been a decent script? Maybe. Could it have been an interesting story about what the hell or how the hell Kylo Ben came back from the dead, let alone the dark side. I mean, whatever, but outside of our benefit, who is this movie going to be for, really?
No, and one thing I don't think I found was, a timeline of when they thought this would come out. Right? So we know this obviously would have taken place after the rise of Palpatine in late 2019. 2 months later, we slammed headfirst into COVID. Everything shut down. We've had writer strikes in the middle of it for the better part. Well, writers and actor strikes that straddled the better part of a year in 2023. And I mean, I don't know when Disney would have moved this into production or when this alleged,
Soderbergh, that's who it was.
Was it Soderbergh? Okay. All of a sudden, everybody started dropping stuff. And then allegedly David Fincher. If you don't know David Fincher, he's the guy that made Fight Club and all that stuff and Seven.
This is why I was thinking of Cronenberg, because I always get Fincher and Cronenberg crossed over here, yeah.
Yeah, David Fincher allegedly was in talks with Lucasfilm to direct another Star Wars movie after The Rise of Skywalker. Negotiations ultimately fell through due to budget and final cut. There's all of a sudden, like I said, this week, these stories are coming out basically trying to say it wasn't Kathleen Kennedy's fault. It was always the two bad men that were her bosses that turned everything down.
You know what's hilarious about this, Valiant, is it basically proves what we've been reporting all this time, is that Kathleen Kennedy can greenlight TV shows all day long. Yeah. She cannot greenlight a movie, though. She needs Bob Iger's A-OK to do that. Yeah. That's something we reported a long time ago. And that's still holding to be true here, regardless of what she's trying to put out there, whoever in their camp is trying to put out there for the perception of it. All it's doing is confirming all the stuff we had heard before, which in turn kind of confirms some of the other stuff we've heard probably as well. But yeah. Well,
ultimately the power of greenlighting these things, I mean, they all have to run across Alan Bergman's desk anyway.
Right. Yeah, I get
it doesn't matter, Marvel and otherwise. Now, they're more freewheeling with Marvel because Marvel had a 10-year run at Disney where they were actually very, very successful until they hit the brick wall of Phase 4. And then everything now is going in the toilet. And then, of course, Alan Bergman got involved again and said, you ain't doing 3 movies a year anymore. This is it, kids. 2025 is the last year you're going to see that from Marvel. Because, I mean, every one of those Marvel movies this year lost a lot of money. And then, Bergman still got problems with Disney Studios with things like Snow White. And, they got a hit with Lilo and Stitch. But there's been too many things that were going in the other direction, quite frankly. And Tron Ares didn't help him. I'm trying to scroll down and find that one other bit and piece. Yeah, see, look, these are the kind of finally got far enough back I could find them. He murdered Ben Solo in The Acolyte. They need to go. These are some of the bot accounts I'm kind of talking about. Alan Bergman had a big say. I mean, that's an older story that somebody's sharing. They're all just kind of going back and talking about this stuff. And look, this was one of the things I talked about Wednesday, I think, too. And to prove how badly this went, okay, within a day of when the news really made it. I mean, they had published it 2 days earlier. This news of there was a Ben Solo movie that Kathy had ready to go, and then Bob and Alan told her no. The story got big the next day, and then within 24 hours, the official Star Wars channel, if you remember, dropped the clip from the final movie with the Rey and Kylo. They pair up and they kiss and they fight off the bad guys together at the end of the last movie. And everybody was posting this, and I said, look, here's your proof right here. This is a screenshot that this person posted to say, oh my God, this is, look, Star Wars is baiting. 1 hour. 1 hour at least on the public counter and on the official Star Wars channel with over 4 million subscribers on YouTube. 4,000 views. That's it. That's it. Basically, the Star Wars social media team went out and clowned themselves, confirming that, Alan and Bob were totally right. And it pains me to say that because it's not like Bob Iger is a saint in anything here. He's as responsible, I'd argue, for Star Wars' destruction as Kennedy, for sure. I mean, the buck stops with him. But the fact is, by that point, they were well aware that this entire set of characters, that whole arc, it was costing way too much money and it was failing. The interest had plummeted between the first and final film. And they just didn't want to ride off into the sunset on another $300-500 million investment. I'm sorry. I'm going to play this because I have the sound feed. Again, you can love AI. You can hate AI. Do y'all remember this in 2012? October 1st, 2012, the worst day in the history of Star Wars when George signed the document over, and this happened.
You, Iger!
I love AI.
George doesn't have balls that big.
I know. I had that one there. Kathleen Kennedy approached Adam for the project. Bob Iger kills it. She continues to prove her taste and understanding of Star Wars. It's once again Bob Iger that's responsible for rushing and canceling. Again, it's been, and I cannot believe we are still dealing with this almost a week later. I'm so ready for this to just go away, and it will very shortly.
This is the best idea since the sequel to Love Story. I mean, come on.
You mean Love Story 2?
Exactly. Then, yeah, that's an old ass story, like a whole joke. Love Story movie where the chick dies at the end. I mean, yeah. Let's bring her back for a sequel that will never happen.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.